ready for another lesson?
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Back Row Banter, the casual movie talk podcast. On today's episode, we have we only have Obi-Wan news story for you today. Obi-Wan. Trailer talk. We don't have any trailer talk today, and our news streaming. We got a few things coming. We'll get to our what we're watching for the week, and our main review for this episode is going to be The Descent. But before we get to any of that, I am your host, Adam Schwartz, and joining me today is the Sandpiper himself, Nathaniel Gingrich.
Hello, everyone.
Hello,
Mr. Abernathy.
Mr. Abernathy. Give us a Mr. Abernathy really quick.
Mr. Abernathy.
That was good. That was good. Please, if you have not already done so, go check out Nathaniel's new podcast, The Sandpiper Tapes. Where can they find that?
Apple Podcast and Spotify. Episode 2 just came out.
I have not listened to episode 2 yet.
Saturday. You haven't listened to episode 2 yet? You gotta check it out, man.
I do, and I will.
This one's
I will.
I think if you like a Last of Us or some kind of like zombie style, or even if you like The Descent, you'll probably like this week's episode a little bit.
That was a good tie-in right there. Good transition.
Also joining me today is Popcorn Tyler.
What's going on?
What's up, Popcorn?
Chilling, man. Just chilling.
It's good to hear. How was your week?
It was pretty busy, but I felt like a lot of the managers were on vacation, and I feel like everybody finally came back, so it was good to see everybody. But
that's good.
Other than that, it's getting pretty busy. Lee's moving in at the end of the month.
Holiday season, it's right around the corner, man. It's coming.
Yeah, so yeah, Lee's moving in at the end of the month, and I'm just trying to get stuff ready. So,
gotcha.
Yeah,
it's good. It's good. And back from the wild lands of Los Angeles is Big Cat Blake.
What's going on?
What up, man? How was your visit to the
Hollywood Blake? Hollywood Cat.
Hollywood, yeah, Big Cat Hollywood Blake.
It was pretty good, man. So I went out there for my friend Cody's 26th birthday. He's a pretty big Lakers fan, LeBron fan, so we kind of went out there hoping the Lakers would win the championship. We got out there Friday. They lost on Friday, so that was scary.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, I was like, well, is this trip screwed, dude, if they don't win? But nonetheless, they ended up winning on Sunday, so it came full circle.
That's good. That's good.
But yeah, so that's good. Kind of get some time out there, just a few days off work.
Yeah. How was I'm curious, how was traveling during the pandemic?
Pretty transitionalist, to be honest. I mean, the airport itself, right, as you can imagine, it's nowhere near as busy as you would think, right? Or pre-COVID, if people can even imagine that type of thing anymore. You have to have a mask on, right? That's your standard guidance. The flight, I think it's subject to the carrier. I think some flights are full, so it's not like they're sitting out the middle seat or anything like that. But you can't remove your mask unless you're gonna drink or take a snack. But in terms of like the lines for like baggage claim and TSA and all that type of stuff, it's so small. Like you can probably show up within 30 minutes and be able to make a flight, you know?
Yeah, it's a nice little silver lining there for pandemic, you know, shorter travel times or at least shorter airport times.
For sure.
Yeah. Cool.
But yeah, that's about it, man. That's all I did this weekend. How was your week, bro?
Busy as usual. Just had a lot of schoolwork and stuff, and this week's looking even busier as well because we got midterms this week. So I've got like 3 papers due on Friday.
Yeah, it is that time of year.
Yeah, it is that time of the semester, unfortunately. But you know, we'll get through it. We'll power through. We'll watch some movies. We'll relax. We'll have a good time. You know how it is.
Of course, nothing
better.
Sir. Than midterms on the way and turn on the Descent. Nothing
better.
Else works.
Nothing better. Yeah. All right. Well, we can get into the show here. We only have one news story for today. Obi-Wan. Okay, I'm just gonna keep. I thought that was funny, but
keep minding that. Well,
yeah, I'm gonna keep going. Well. It's going great. It's going great. Star Wars Obi-Wan show starts filming next spring. So this is gonna be a 1 season kind of a spin-off series for the Master Jedi, Obi-Wan Kenobi, with Ewan McGregor reclaiming his role. And this will be coming to Disney Plus once it releases. And then it's confirmed to be set about 8 years after the events of Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, with rumored flashbacks of the Clone Wars era. So the Clone Wars animated show, it's supposed to have, I guess, some scenes going back to there. So yeah, how are you guys feeling about this? Ty, you're probably one of the bigger Star Wars guys out of the
Yeah, I
fellas.
wouldn't say I'm any bigger than probably like what Nathaniel is. I know Blake's a huge fan. No, I think it's really great. I think it'll be really fun. I like what they do with Mandalorian, and that's kind of done by almost a different director, like every episode. And a lot of those people, one of the ladies that wrote one of the best episodes, I can't remember which one. I want to say it was the one where they're in the security, like max level security ship. I want to say that's the one she wrote.
The one with Bill Burr?
Yeah.
That was one of the better episodes. I love that episode.
I think that's the one that she wrote, but I could be wrong. But she is basically in charge of everything that's going to be happening on Obi-Wan. So I'm pretty pumped for it. And I don't know if you've never watched the Clone Wars cartoons, the animated stuff. It's definitely something you need to go watch if you're going to be really interested in this, because this explains a lot of everything that happens in the Clone Wars.
I haven't seen that series, but I do want to and need to give it a watch soon.
It's a good watch.
Yeah. I've heard there's some things online, or some places online that will have like lists of episodes that you can skip, or like the list of episodes you should watch, and like storylines you can cut through or something like that. Just kind of condense the series. So I might do something like that. Because it is a long. How many seasons are there?
I honestly don't remember off the top of my head.
It's looking like there are 7 seasons with 133 episodes. So yeah, there's definitely some fat you could probably trim from that.
Probably, but you could definitely burn through them. They're quick episodes.
I'm sure. Yeah. Cool. Does anybody else have anything to say about Obi-Wan? I mean, I'm personally pretty excited. I love Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan, so I'm glad he's going back for that.
And you're a big Mando fan, right?
Yeah, I really liked Mando.
Okay.
It was great.
Yeah, I think most people kind of agree that Ewan McGregor is more or less the best part of the prequels. So
I would, yeah.
Anytime he comes back, it's pretty cool. It's kind of weird that we know. I mean, I'll be interested. I'll be interested to see where they go with this story, basically the storyline of it, if they're gonna try and tie it into some of like the Maul stuff that they set up in Solo, which if they do, we know from one of the after series, I think it's Rebels, we know how that kind of concludes. We've seen that in animated form. I don't know how keen they would be to like redo that again live action, or if this is just gonna be more of a self-contained like a Legend of Obi-Wan Kenobi season or something like that, just like one of his adventures that he might have had on Tatooine or something.
Yeah.
Deborah Chow is her name, by the way.
Deborah
Sorry.
Chow, okay.
Yep.
Very good. Yeah, I'm definitely interested in this, and we'll 100% check it out when it comes out, whenever that is. Hopefully, I mean, if it's gonna start filming in the spring, you could probably expect it maybe late next year, early 2022. We'll see. The turnaround on Mandalorian's been pretty quick, so if it's similar production to Mandalorian, I wouldn't be surprised if we could see this late next year.
Yeah, they may just like have it in the same spot where they've been releasing Mandalorian the last few years, and then just
March to October turnaround would be kind of tough. I think.
True.
Yeah,
True,
I think it could be maybe November, December, depending on when it finishes production. But I think by early 2022 was when we can expect to see this.
For sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's all for the news today. No trailer talk, unfortunately. Not a lot coming out. Not a lot of trailers, unfortunately. You hate to see it. But the new to streaming, we got a little bit for you this week. Actually, not that much. Now that I look at the entire list. To Netflix, we have The Cabin with Bert Kreischer. So that's his new special. Bert Kreischer, I've mentioned on the show before. He's really funny and really good. So I will definitely be checking this out. Moneyball. Yeah, it's stand up.
Okay.
I believe it's stand up. Because I know other comedians have done like kind of like John Mulaney did it's like lunchtime with the kids or something like that. I don't even.
Sack Lunch Bunch.
Yeah, that's what it was. Okay, so I just looked it up. This is not a special. It says fast living comic Bert Kreischer heads to a cabin for some self-care and invites his funny friends to join his quest to cleanse his mind, body, and soul. So it looks like pull up the trailer right now. So it's not a special, but looks like it's just a bunch of comedians kind of hanging out. It's got Anthony Anderson, Caitlyn Jenner apparently is in it, Nikki Glaser, Tom Segura, and more. Visit Bert Kreischer for his hilarious adventure in the woods. So yeah, this looks like it's going to be a season, not a special. More of a season kind of show. So we'll see what that turns out to be. He's hilarious, so I would be interested to see what this turns out to be. If it turns out to be any good, I'll check it out and let you guys know. And then we also got Moneyball. Are you a big Moneyball guy, Nathaniel?
I love Moneyball.
Yeah, I love Moneyball too. I will definitely be watching this. I've been wanting to watch this movie for so long, but never really wanted to rent it.
I watched it again not too long ago. Have you seen it before or no?
Oh, I've definitely seen it. Yeah.
Okay.
I've seen it multiple times.
Yeah. Really interesting use of archival photography mixed in with kind of dramatic retelling of the games. They do a really good job of like having one thing be filmed new and then kind of mixing it with the older footage and tying it in with the film grain. So I think it's shot really, really interesting. I think I just saw something that Billy Bean might actually be moving on from that role after this year, which would be interesting. So maybe it's a fortuitous time for them to put Moneyball onto streaming services again.
Yeah, you know who's in that movie that I always forget is Chris Pratt.
Yeah, Scott Hatteberg.
Yeah, he plays the first baseman.
Yeah.
That movie's got a pretty solid cast. I mean, Brad Pitt, Jonah Hill, Chris Pratt. I don't know. I really like that movie. I'm definitely gonna check that out. And then also coming to Netflix is Batman: The Killing Joke. This is that animated movie that came out in 2017, 2016.
I don't know if I've ever seen this.
I've seen that. Yeah,
I don't think I saw it, but I remember reading the comic book.
Yeah, it's one of those famous ones that like if anyone recommends you read a Batman or like read some of the iconic runs of Batman, they always recommend The Killing Joke.
Yeah. It's kind of not officially, but it's kind of like the go-to Joker origin story that I'd say most people refer to.
Yeah, for sure.
Or say is like the basic origin story for Joker. Yeah, and then Netflix is also getting Unfriended. That's the 2014 horror movie.
Yeah, that's a decent one.
Didn't we talk about this recently? It might have been off pod.
We might have.
I think we did.
Off pod.
Yeah, it may have been, but yeah, I do remember us talking about it. That's actually a decent little horror flick.
Yeah, that's the one where it's basically like through like a Zoom type thing.
Yeah.
Like the whole movie's on. Yeah.
Yeah, they're on one giant call, and
I think it might actually be Skype. I think they might actually have it branded in there.
I think you know what? I believe so. I believe it is Skype. Yeah. Plus, it's 2014. That sounds like a Skype. That sounds like a year Skype.
Speaking of which, how did Skype just drop the ball so much on this?
Yeah, I don't know, Mike.
Decade head start.
Yeah, I mean, isn't that Microsoft? Didn't Microsoft buy Skype or?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's on them. Oh, well, not my problem. I'm using Discord and Zoom, and I'm having a gay old time. And Amazon Prime is getting Nocturne. That's one of the 4 Blumhouse horror flicks that are coming out this month. I think I might have missed the one. Yeah, the Welcome to Blumhouse ones. I might have missed the one that came out last week. But because there are 4 coming out this month. Blake, are you gonna check any of those out?
I'll probably watch Unfriended. I remember seeing.
I need the Blumhouse ones.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I think we kind of went over that last time, and I'll certainly go ahead and take a look at some of those. The thing is, I have such a deep catalog of what I want to get to for horror.
Yeah.
I kind of put aside, like a calendar of, hey, I'm gonna try to get to a movie of this theme on this week. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
So one might be Home Invasion. One might be.
What are you on to this week?
Or something like that. So actually. And we'll get to what we're watching.
Yeah, I was gonna say we can just wait till what we're watching.
my one this week was going to be a remake, so I ended up watching one of those. So
okay,
we'll go into that.
Cool. And then Hulu, HBO Max, and Disney Plus all have nothing really coming out, nothing worth watching, at least from what I saw. So unfortunate.
That's
but
like your opinion, man.
I mean, it is, dude. I mean, go ahead if you really are looking for something new to watch these
that's
streaming
okay.
services. Go ahead and look up the releases yourself. But
I'll trust you.
all right. All right. Well, Blake, why don't you just pick it up where we left you off there on the what we're watching here, and we'll switch it up a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. So, like I said, I kind of set aside some things each week of like, hey, I'm going to try to get to a horror movie of this subgenre, right? What I wanted to do this week was get to a remake, and then on HBO Max, I came across the Hills Have Eyes remake, and so that's one I probably haven't seen, and
It's
I couldn't put a date on it. I'd say easily 5 years or so.
That's another Alexander Aha joint from High Tension fame.
It is, yeah, it is. And that's good. I actually think I like that one better than the second remake they made.
Oh, for
Or
sure.
I don't know if the second one's a remake.
For sure.
But yeah, still holds up pretty well. As with the original, that they do have, it does have a lot to do with kind of like political stance, right? So
Yeah.
that's kind of interesting to see in today's society. But yeah, that's one of those remakes that I think hold up well with a handful of other ones. I'd recommend.
Is that the 2006 one?
Yeah, that sounds
Okay.
right.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I'm in.
Yeah, so that's dope. I don't know. Have you seen that one, Adam?
I've not, no.
That's one. I mean, what do you guys think? You think you'd get a kick
I
out of
love
that?
it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I like the original more for
Okay.
sure, but I don't know if Adam's gonna like that one, but I'd be interested. I'd be interested for him to watch it. I just don't know if it's gonna connect the same way.
Yeah. I mean, it has dated for sure. And like I said, and that's one of those movies if you've ever seen like any of like The Wrong Turns and all like those cheap
sure.
inbred cannibal things, you know what I mean? Like it'll probably kind of sway your opinion on this. And I don't know if Adam's come across any of the
I don't know if
6 Wrong Turn films that all suck.
I've not, no.
But
I don't know if Adam is like viewing horror films for pleasure yet, or if it's just like watching horror films like as a test of himself. So I think I don't know if he derives anything fun out of it. The way
It's
that
a
Blake and I do.
it's a bit of both. It's a bit of both because obviously it's like I'm forcing myself to watch these for this
For sure.
podcast, and I normally probably wouldn't watch this many horror movies. But I'm not. I'm liking them. And I think we'll see at the end of the month how much I go back to horror. Because I don't know how often it'll be a go-to, but I think the more I'm watching, the more I'm opening up to the idea of
For sure.
getting into a horror flick every once in a while.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'll co-sign that 10 out of 10 times, man. But yeah, that's the only thing I've watched this week. I had a pretty short week in terms of
Yeah,
pretty
I
hectic.
mean, I traveled. So
Yeah, I mean with the traveling, yeah.
yeah. What did you guys get into, Ty?
I've been doing Dark Crystal still.
Mm-hmm.
Nathaniel and I have definitely been doing some more of My Hero. So that's been just
Solid.
an absolute pleasure. I'm sure Nathaniel will give you his little 2 cents there. Schitt's Creek is something that Leah and I have been working to get through. She's seen season 5, and I think she's seen season 6. I'm not sure, but I have not seen season 6. So I'm trying to catch up. And then I got to a couple horror movies that we did not have on like our things we needed to do.
Mhm.
So I went over to Leah's place, and her roommate and her boyfriend were there too in the middle of the week. And I was like, they're like, hey, we're doing like a spooky night. And I'm like, I'm in.
For sure.
So anything that they wanted to watch, I pretty much have seen, and they haven't. So
Mhm.
it was cool to like sit in a room with the 3 of them and get like their reactions to things. But we did Silence of the Lambs.
Ooh, okay.
Oh, not bad.
I just watched that like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, so I remember you saying that, and then we were like scrolling past it, and they're like, we've never seen it. I'm like, how have you never seen Silence of the Lambs? Because these are they're like all my age. We're all pushing 30.
Mhm.
And then they wanted to do another one right after that, and they decided to do Hush, which
Still need to watch that one.
So other than that, I think that's really all I got.
What were your thoughts on? I mean, what watch was this for Silence of the Lambs?
Me?
You know? Yeah, you. Yeah.
I've watched it over 10 times. I don't.
Okay.
Yeah, I've definitely seen it before.
You picking up anything new on this watch or?
Not that I really paid attention. I was kind of more paying attention to their reaction.
Right.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. How
so,
are they reacting? Do they like it?
Yeah, there were a lot of parts where they would kind of be like, "Holy shit!" and there were some other parts that like some of the jump scares that are in there, like with the head in the jar, and then just like how creepy Buffalo Bill is, like just as a human being, like he's just kind of like gross, creepy, and so it was funny to get their kind of vibe out of that. But yeah, they said they all liked it, and so they want to do all the other ones too. So I'm like, all right, that's cool. I'm down. So I'm sure we'll get around to him sooner or later.
What
Cool.
they think of Hush? Hush is dope.
They were all super like tense about it. They all thought it was pretty good. I can't remember. I must have seen this when this first like came out. And I haven't seen it since, but I don't even think it's like that old. But I don't know. I paid attention a lot more on this watch than I probably had previously because I didn't really remember a whole lot. I feel like there could have been a couple things done better.
For sure.
But other than that, pretty good.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was kind of talking to him afterwards about it, and I was just kind of felt like he just didn't really connect with it very much, which happens with a lot of different people in different movies. Sometimes there's just movies that you just don't like me and A Star Is Born. I just
There you go.
don't like that movie.
There you go.
Salt in wound.
Hey
It's
man,
been a
like
few,
what you like, right, Nathaniel?
episodes. Yeah, like what you like. It's been a few episodes since we gave a shout out to your brothers, and I'm itching for a fight again. Is that anything, all you had, Ty? Or
Yeah. Popcorn Nathaniel, because I kind of have to, because we watch a lot of stuff together. So
yeah, I was gonna say we've been watching a lot of things together. I've been reading a lot too. There's
nice.
New J.K. Rowling's new book that she came out with, which I know she's kind of not on everyone's good side at the moment.
She's been doing some.
Yeah,
Some
she's kind
weird.
she's kind of an
out
idiot.
There.
But,
she's out there.
But she had her book come out that she writes under the pseudonym. That's her detective series, which is pretty good. So, been reading that, but it's like it's a 900-page book, so it's been a little slow. But definitely been in on My Hero with Tyler. That's been really just an awesome, fun show that I think a lot of people would really enjoy. I don't know. Yeah, it's just very, very earnest, and you feel good watching it. And it's kind of it leaves you with a similar vibe, I would say, to like the best episodes of Avatar or something like that.
Okay.
When it's well done, but yeah, just a fun show for specifically, I think, like nerdy guys or guys that are very in tune with pop culture and stuff too. There's a lot of like references and kind of commentary that's being made as well that you can kind of catch and stuff. So that was really fun. And then I actually watched Videodrome, which is by David Cronenberg, who we listeners would know from me talking about earlier when I watched his movie Scanners in one of the early podcasts that we did.
I remember you saying that.
Yeah, so this is kind of in the same vein as that. He does a lot of stuff with kind of body horror and is known as more or less the master of kind of that genre of film. But if you want a kind of a quick thing, here's the summary of the movie Videodrome off of Letterboxd. And it says, who do we drop there? That actually
Jark, man. Jirac.
Jirac, actually.
We just lost Jirac. Sorry.
Yeah, he sent me a message. Jirac said, I've been unexpectedly disconnected. If you want me to stop recording, please command me to with the thing. So
please come back and record, Jirac. We need you, bro.
Yeah, we need you.
We still got
Jirac.
Greg in here. I think as long as he's there, we're chilling. But I don't know.
Okay,
All right,
well,
continue.
yeah. So this is the summary for Videodrome off of Letterboxd.
Okay.
So it says, as the president of a trashy TV channel, Max Wren is desperate for new programming to attract viewers. When he happens upon Videodrome, a TV show dedicated to gratuitous torture and punishment, Max sees a potential hit and broadcasts the show on his channel. However, after his girlfriend auditions for the show and never returns, Max investigates the truth behind Videodrome and discovers that the graphic violence may not be as fake as he thought. So, just like a really wild movie that has a bunch of different twists and turns. It really makes you think. It came out in 1983, and it was already like questioning people's relationships with their screen. Like one of the pretty prominent characters in it is this guy who believes that like the TV has now become this new religion in and of itself, and he won't talk to people unless he is talking to them from like a television screen or something like that. He only communicates in terms of like tapes mailed back and forth that are recorded with each other and things. But then it gets pretty trippy as well. Like I said, but just a really interesting movie. It's interesting to see kind of how it's aged and what's going on, particularly now too. But yeah, definitely recommend for me if anyone's kind of interested in that more sci-fi body horror kind of style. They just put it on their Criterion channel, but you can find it pretty much anywhere on like the internet.
Gotcha. And real quick, not to cut you off, and I know you're kind of on that topic of body horror and kind of things of that nature. Have you seen a movie called The Void?
No, this is another one that I've always kind of had recommended to me, but I've never
Yeah.
actually watched it because I knew it was kind of like a throwback to that kind of style
Yeah,
from what I
dude. It's
heard.
very like 80s type, you know.
Mm,
I think you'd get a kick out of it, man, especially with the body horror and everything in there.
for sure, yeah, I'd definitely be interested in that, and checking that out for sure. I think body horror in particular is one of the most like quintessential DNA deep level like fears that we have. Just like we just do not want anything in or growing in our bodies. This kind of, we think of ourselves as being impermeable, and that anything inside of that makes you uncomfortable a little bit naturally.
Right.
But that's been my week for the most part. Like I said, I'm with Blake. There's always more horror movies that I want to get to, particularly in Halloween season. I can't believe we're this far in October already.
I know, dude. We're
But-
halfway through.
Yeah,
yeah.
nearly half.
Unreal.
So I have been continuing my watch of Last Dance. I'm on episode 9. I was gonna finish it last night, and then I was like, wait, I don't have time to watch this. I gotta watch The Strangers because I still hadn't seen it yet. So I was gonna finish last night and decided not to. So I would probably finish it soon, by next week for sure. But yeah, it's still great. I don't want to keep talking about it every episode, but yeah, fantastic. And then where do I want to go to next? Watching a little bit of YouTube this week. I haven't had a ton of time to watch as much YouTube as I usually do with classes and stuff like that. But my favorite YouTuber that I've been catching up on, his name is MKBHD. Have any of you guys seen him?
I'm not familiar.
He does a lot of tech stuff, and specifically more phones, but just tech in general too. He's great. He explains everything really well. He's got really good graphics, really good production quality. Just fantastic. I recommend if you're into that kind of stuff, into tech at all or into phones, go and check him out. He's very informational, very easy to learn from, and just he's got a great sense of him. He's fantastic. And then I'll go Masterclass. Have you guys done Masterclass? Or do you guys know what Masterclass is?
I've heard of it. I've seen the ads, but I've never done one. Are we getting sponsored by Masterclass?
I wish we should. But about a month ago, my brother texted me about this deal Masterclass was putting on, where if you're a college student, you can get a year for $1. So I went ahead and did that because I think the usual subscription, it's up there for, I think it's like $15 a month or something like that.
They're
It's
not
good.
inexpensive.
Yeah, it's pretty expensive. So $1 for a year, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna hop right on that. Because even before that deal, I was thinking about checking them out. Because I said on a few episodes ago, when Tyler was talking about that cooking show that was on Netflix. What was that called?
Chef's Table.
Chef's Table. Yeah, I was talking about how like I love people talking about, people at the top of their craft talking about how they got there, their processes and stuff like that. And that's basically what this is. So the one I've been watching this week, because I got it about a month ago, but I haven't started watching until just this week. But I've been watching Bob Woodward's series. He's got about 24 episodes on investigative journalism, and talks. He's got like an episode on his Watergate stuff, an episode on Trump and different stuff. And he's very informational. It's a lot of reiterating what I learned in classes, but in a different or better way that kind of resonates a little bit more. And it's just great hearing him talk because he's probably in the modern day, I would say one of the most probably one of the most famous journalists.
Yeah,
Would you agree with that?
recognizable for sure.
Recognizable, yeah. I think a lot of people know Bob
He's
Woodward.
he's a living legend, basically.
Yes. Especially for journalists.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been great hearing him talk. There's a bunch that I want to check out. A lot of film ones. Scorsese's got one. I forgot what other film people are on there. But yeah, there's a bunch of great ones. I definitely recommend it if you're interested in something like that. Like I said, it's kind of expensive, but they're really good, and I would recommend it. I like them. Then I've kind of just been watching some college football and some NBA finals the past week. I was at the Mizzou LSU game where Mizzou took down the defending national champions.
I was gonna ask you, have you been to any of the games yet, or?
I was able to get because the game this past Saturday against LSU was supposed to be in Baton Rouge, but because of the hurricane, it got moved to Columbia. So then one of my on-campus jobs was put in charge of handing out some free tickets to students, and I was able to get my hands on some tickets.
Oh, not bad.
So I was able to go. Crazy game. Final score I believe was like 45-41, but they had first and goal on the 1 yard line, and we stopped them 4 downs in a row to get the win. It was great. It was a great win. Good times. I missed football. I missed going to the stadium from last year. It was nice to be back for sure. And then the last thing I'll bring up that I watched tonight is for my psychology at the movies class. American History X.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That intrigued everybody.
Is that your first time?
Said that one.
That was my first time. Yeah. I loved it. Yeah, I thought it was really, really good.
Good.
Edward Norton's great in there. Not a huge supporting cast, or at least a well-known supporting cast. As I'm looking at the IMDb, I don't really see a ton of recognizable names. So Edward Norton, he carries the movie for sure. But it touches on a lot of racial topics and stuff like that. But I really liked it. I liked how they have the whole black and white in the past versus the present. So that when they're doing the flashback scenes or the scenes that take place in the past, it goes black and white, and then in modern day is in color. A lot of cool stuff that movie does. It's 98, and it's you can tell it's 98. The way it's shot, some of the music choices, stuff like that, the way they use those two together too, felt very late 90s. But regardless of that, I thought it was really good. Really liked it. So
yeah, that's a good movie, and I actually think I had to watch that for something, and maybe in high school or something. That might be way too inappropriate as well. Hindsight.
Things were different back then.
For sure. But yeah, that's just one of those movies. As you could imagine, just because of the substance of the movie, just like in the African American and the Black community, like those are usually movies like you grow up watching. You know what I mean? So it's definitely interesting that you're able to get your hands on something like that at this age and enjoy it and get something out of it. So that's definitely dope.
Yeah, no, I really, really liked it. All right. Well, let's move on then, I guess, to our main segment here.
Yes.
The Descent.
I'm almost as happy to do this as I did Hereditary. And that's saying a lot. I actually really like
that. Is saying a lot. That's surprising. We'll get into why I find it surprising in a little bit. But for those new to the show, Nathaniel, why don't you give our new listeners a rundown of our review segment?
Yeah, if you are new to the show or you just needed a reminding, basically how this works is we we introduce the movie that we are doing. We give you kind of who directed it, the writers, maybe some of who the stars are. Then we'll talk about the movie a little bit more, give you the summary off of IMDb, which is generally always very, very short. So we'll fill out a little bit more of the gaps there, kind of give our initial impressions on the movie, at which point we will recommend, we will choose, we'll choose if we would recommend this movie to our friends or family or anyone. It's got to be yes or no. Do you recommend it? Do you not? And at that point, we'll move into spoiler territory, go dive a little bit more into our thoughts on it, and anything that we noticed or found interesting. And which point, once we've kind of wrapped that up, we'll welcome back those viewers that maybe didn't want to listen to the spoilers portion and see where this guy ranks on the entropy list.
There we go. All right. Well, Nathaniel, why don't you give them the little plot rundown here? Non-spoiler plot rundown.
So this is The Descent, as we've said a couple different times. It came out in 2005 in Britain, 2006 in the USA. It's directed by a guy named Neil Marshall. It's also written by Neil Marshall. He kind of got his teeth, or he cut his teeth, I should say, on a film called Dog Soldiers, which is kind of famous in some horror circles as this kind of down and dirty, interesting revision to kind of a werewolf story. It kind of sits in that area where hardcore fans really like 30 Days of Night's version of vampires, and also really like Dog Shoulders' version of werewolves. Since he made that, he kind of, I believe this was his next movie after that, and since then he's mainly been kind of relegated to TV. So he's done a lot of Game of Thrones episodes. He did, I believe, like the Battle of Blackwater was him. He used to do a lot of their big battle episodes for the most part. And then he kind of got another chance to do a movie, and unfortunately that was Hellboy 2019. So I don't know if he's gonna be making any more movies in Hollywood for a while, but I think he's really good. It kind of feels bad that he's kind of just relegated to these movies, but yeah, the cast is no one super famous. They're all just kind of decent actresses that I think they found. It's mainly, but if I think there's one guy in the whole movie, it's mainly women, which was kind of unheard of, in 2005.
For sure.
But yeah, the summary, which I haven't even given yet, is a caving expedition goes horribly wrong as the explorers become trapped and ultimately pursued by a strange breed of predators. So
that's a pretty good one-sentence summary, actually.
Yeah,
Strange.
it kind of lays it out more or less what's going on there.
Yeah.
But we'll so basically after or there's three main friends, that is, I always remember them by their cast name, Sarah, Juno, and Beth, who are kind of these adventurers who you get the feeling you've kind of grown up together. Sarah is married and has a child, and early on in the movie, those are taken away from her in the form of a car accident. And the kind of main plot of the film revolves around Sarah getting back together with her group of friends for the first time, and as a kind of a cathartic journey, going out on this caving expedition and doing a high adrenaline, activity that kind of brings her back together and makes her feel good again. And that you decide to go caving, and bad things happen from there, as things often do in these movies. So that's kind of the pre-spoilers summary. So I'll kind of throw it over to you guys and kind of catch whether you recommend it or not, or what your initial thoughts are.
Was this everybody? This was my first watch. Was this everybody else's second or multiple? This is not everybody else's first watch? Is that's what I'm confirming here? Ty?
No.
Yeah, I think. I think most of us probably seen this.
Okay,
more
I was just
than
making
3 or
sure.
4 times.
I was not sure. I mean,
I was gonna say you go, because I'm interested, and I don't want any of our opinions to
sway.
to taint. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I can go first. I definitely like this overall. definitely had some good scares. Definitely it scratched more of the horror itch that I've been looking for in the past few weeks, more than high tension for sure. Hereditary is a different type of horror, but this is more of a standard horror movie.
Right.
Um, I have some gripes with it, especially with some of the plot holes and other things, which I can get to later. But besides that, I mean, I it's not a movie I can expect a ton from, and I'm trying to temper my expectations because of it. It's hard following Hereditary, but I wasn't like going into this expecting it to be the best movie of all time, and I
Right.
feel like this movie met my expectations, and I liked it, and so yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I'll follow it up on that. I've seen this movie as an avid horror guy. I've seen this movie countless of times. This is one of those movies that, I mean, and I say this time and time again, but I probably remember watching this on like your HBO or like your Stars or something in like middle school and early high school, being on at mad late at night. You know what I mean? And just getting under my skin and just scaring the fuck out of me, and then going back and to continue to rewatch it. It still replays well in my opinion. So yeah, I would 100% recommend. I'll pass it on to Tyler.
Yeah, I think this is a fantastic movie. Great as far as like tension builders go. Some really good jump scares. I like the fact that it's kind of like what Adam said. Your more typical horror movie, in the fact that it doesn't really play with any like mind games or anything like that for the most part. It's pretty straightforward, but yeah, I think it's really great. They got some good gore scenes in here, some really good shots as far as camera work goes. So yeah, I'm in.
Cool, Nizza.
Yeah, I think this movie in particular holds a sort of special place in my heart. I feel like I say that every weekend too. But this was one of those ones, like, I have a very clear memory of this movie coming out when I was still terrified of horror films and would just not go anywhere near them. And the movie theater by where I grew up, my kind of like home theater that I went to for many, many years, it had in the lobby there was a giant kind of like a supersized screens, and they would occasionally do like movies out in the lobby that you would see on this huge screen or whatever. But
Oh, okay.
when that wasn't going, they would just play trailers up there. So as you're getting your food or whatever, they'd have this kind of thing going in the background. And I remember having to like wait for my parents to get out of a movie because I had seen something else. And the trailer for this came on, and I was so scared by the trailer that I just like covered my eyes and was in this lobby full of people. And then I didn't get to see it until I was probably a sophomore in college, I think. I finally got to sit down and see this for the first time. So this is probably the third time I've seen this movie. I think it's a really, really excellent film, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think it's just it's such a simple exercise in tension and how things just get worse and worse and worse and worse until it's built itself up to you. You just don't know where you're going. I think this movie does a really, really good job in getting you to feel that tension that the characters are feeling as well. That just you identify so quickly with them. I think something about the cave confinement has something to do with that.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's 100% what it is. The claustrophobia
Yeah,
gets to you
Yeah.
before you
I
even see
think
the monsters.
I think I turned to Tyler like halfway into it, and I was just like, I forgot this movie hits so hard, so fast.
It wasn't even halfway. It was like 20, maybe 30 minutes in.
And so this movie has a reputation in film circles that had Hereditary not come out and had The Conjuring not come out. This one was always kind of one of those ones that's on the short list of like best early thousands horror films.
Yep.
And
Absolutely.
I think it's still pretty underrated as far as these go. But yeah, if anyone needs to know, I mean, I can kind of kick off my thoughts on that, but I'll let Adam go from now on.
Yeah, I mean, I already kind of gave my basic thoughts. So if you guys are ready to give the recommendations, I mean, I personally would recommend it. I think it was definitely solid. And Blake,
Yeah, man, I'm with you. I recommend it. And like I said, this is one of those movies I remember seeing as a younger teenager, and it scaring me. And it still kind of holds true where there's some things, some scenes in here that just makes your skin crawl. Or like I'm maybe 40 minutes through the movie and I realize like I'm sitting so uptight and so tight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm like, I should just relax. But you really can't because the movie's so
Mhm.
fast paced.
Mhm.
But yeah, I'm with it, man. I'd recommend it. Anybody who hasn't seen it, you're getting into, like Adam said, your quote unquote traditional horror movie, right? And there's not, it's not your Hereditary, it's not your The Witch, it's nothing like that. It's people versus a cave versus monsters,
Mm.
And it works. So
Yeah.
All-time great movie poster too. Like one of my
Mhm.
absolute faves.
The skull with all
The
their
skull you're
bodies.
talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It'll look great on the social post for this episode. Ty? Or unless
Yeah.
you're not done, Blake, go ahead.
no,
I'm
no,
gonna
that's
cut
it.
you
I
off.
was just gonna say
Okay.
popcorn tie.
Oh, okay. Popcorn Ty.
Yeah, definitely recommend for me. This is definitely like one of those ones too that if you have seen it, it's good to go back to if you haven't seen it in a little while. So replay value is really good. But it's also really good when they show people if they haven't. It really wraps you up in those claustrophobic moments. You feel the tension, kind of like Blake said. You're uptight the whole time, and yeah, I think it's pretty great front to back.
And I'm assuming it's a recommendation from good old Professor Gingrich.
Yeah, this one's definitely a recommend for me. I started a separate group chat with me, Blake, and Tyler because I was just like, I want to talk about this movie, but I don't want Adam because I kind of like I didn't want to overhype this one for you. I had a feeling that you just didn't know very much about it, so I was just like,
I knew nothing about it besides the
yeah,
basic premise.
I just wanted it to kind of happen organically for you. So I'm curious to like, how did you feel when it started to pick up and everything?
Do you want to wait till we get into spoilers? Do we want to cross the line?
Yeah,
We should. We should probably
we
do
can
that.
wait till we can wait till we get into some more spoilery stuff.
All right, listeners. Well, we're gonna head into spoilers. If you do not want this movie spoiled for you, go ahead and check the description where I will put this timestamp for the appropriate place to go in
And
the
where
episode.
can they find it?
They can find it in the description. I just said that.
No. Where can they watch the movie?
Oh, it's free on Tubi, and we thought it was on Amazon Prime. Blake said he watched it there, but I think I might have. I don't remember where I watched it. It was on Amazon Prime. I don't remember if I watched it there for free or rented it. I think I might have rented it. But either way, it's available. It's out there on Tubi for free if you wanted that. So yeah, go ahead and give that a watch. Check the description if you don't want it spoiled, and then you'll be brought back at as we rank it on our entropy list. But without further ado, Nathaniel, why don't you go ahead and give the listeners the rest of the plot?
Yeah, so kind of like we've been saying, it is revealed that there are monsters living down in the caves too. That and not only that, but Juno, who is kind of the antagonist of the movie, but not really.
What a
She has a
shitty
very
friend.
she has a very
Yeah, for real.
complicated relationship with Sarah. She has taken them to the wrong caves, basically. So they have done everything right, which is one area of this movie that I like really appreciate is like they write a lot of I think issues that people would have with it. They've written it in a way so that it you understand with the characters and sympathize why they're in the predicament that they are.
Right.
But yeah, so she has taken them to the wrong cave, and while they're down there, the cave shifts. We don't really know if this like releases, but it definitely blocks off the 6 girls' paths, and they are now trapped underground with these crazy monsters who don't really see the light, can definitely hunt better than they can, and are adapted to the dark, basically. And they kind of start picking them off one by one until we're left with just Sarah and Juno, basically. Sarah has at this point undergone a pretty big rebirth arc. She's kind of reached her lowest points and come out the other side. And it's revealed in the ending that Sarah leaves Juno, or basically wounds Juno to leave her for the crawlers. After finding out that, well, I should back up. I guess the big reveal is that she knows that Juno was sleeping with her husband,
Right.
and that Juno was a really shitty friend, and basically couldn't bear to be around Sarah, and this was kind of her thing of trying to get back to her getting them back together and everything, and that she accidentally killed Beth as well.
Right.
So
Well, she leaves her to die. She
Yeah.
almost doesn't kill her,
Yeah.
which is worse.
Yeah, exactly. So Juno thinks only for herself. Sarah thinks for everyone else, and the movie ends with Sarah leaving Juno to be eaten by the crawlers, and her making her way away. Basically, she makes out and drives back.
Good for Sarah.
Fuck yeah.
Which
Yeah,
is not the original ending. It was funny.
Uh-oh.
Kind of. The
Right,
original.
so-
Yeah, this movie's kind of famous for having a different ending in America than it does anywhere else in the world.
Mm-hmm.
What's the original ending?
Well,
I believe she wakes up.
Sarah.
and then-
It's revealed that Sarah escaping is a hallucination, and that
Right.
Sarah is actually still underground. And Sarah sort of makes peace with the fact that she is going to be there to kill these monsters and hunt these monsters down, and so she like travels deeper into the caves with like the pickaxe to go take them out and stuff.
Okay.
Oh.
I don't know. I'm trying to think if I would like that ending better.
It's way like
Yeah, I hear you.
darker, but it's also like she has more of a purpose now.
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that's
Uh,
the director's ending. Yeah, I think the American ending is the one where she you could
Escapes
assume she
caves.
escapes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's what Adam saw, right? Correct.
Yeah, she escaped.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I saw.
Sure.
Yeah, Ryan Hollinger has a great video on it. If anyone's interested, where he kind of breaks down the endings a little bit more. I won't kind of step on his toes there, but if anyone's interested in this film and kind of wants to know more about it, he has a great down on that.
Do you guys want me to start first again for my non-spoiler thoughts? Or sorry,
Yeah,
full spoiler
yeah.
thoughts. Yeah, so I definitely like this movie. I thought it was interesting because I didn't know that the monsters were going to be in the cave. I kind of assumed, but the longer the movie went on without monsters, I was like, what is this movie? Just them getting trapped in the cave, and like that's the tension.
Yeah. Which works though.
But it
Almost.
worked.
You
That's
know
why.
what I
That's
mean?
why.
Yeah.
No, that's why I was so convinced. It was like I
Right.
was tense. I was kind of scared just because of the rocks and
The bit
and-
when Sarah gets caught and Beth has to go back for her.
Yeah.
It's so
Oh,
scary,
dude.
because
Yeah.
it does that great thing that all really effective horror movies do, and it's even some ineffective ones too. But it gets you to ask, "Oh my God, what would I do in that situation?" And you just feel the horror of it. Just
Yeah,
settling
you start
into
to
your
feel
bones.
claustrophobic yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I hate. I hate that feeling too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that scene in particular, it plays really well with these just normal aspects of claustrophobia and being closed in.
Mhm.
And so for the first third of the movie, I really wasn't sure where this was going. And then I kind of expected there to be something in this cave. And so when it was revealed that these crawlers were there, I was like, okay, cool. And I thought they were really cool. I thought they set them up pretty well. Whereas like, at least what I got out of it was that these, 100 years ago or so, people were exploring this cave. And maybe even before that, there was people in this cave, and then they somehow got trapped down there, and then kind of evolved into the darkness.
sure.
So that's kind of what I got of it, which I thought is a really cool premise, and I think they set it up really well to you kind of get it out of there without
Mhm.
them directly telling you. Even though they did have that one scene where it's like, oh, what are we facing here? I was like, okay, I don't really need this. I kind of understand what we're getting at here.
Mhm.
But regardless, yeah, I thought the whole setup there was really cool. The biggest thing that I didn't like about this movie was the dream sequences with Sarah. They didn't make a lot of sense to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
They just didn't play. It didn't seem to play into the plot really at all. And they were just kind of there to be there. And they never really. I thought maybe there would be some kind of explanation for why they were happening, or maybe something the dreams would tie
Well-
into what's happening in the cave.
Well, then I think maybe if you got that original ending where she does have that
exactly
kind
what
of
I was gonna say.
hallucinatory
Mhm.
reconciliation, and then it's revealed that no, she's giving up those dreams, or she's kind of
Mhm.
letting those dreams go, and then she's going back into the cave. She's not haunted by it anymore. That probably would be a little bit more emotionally
Could have played
satisfying
it,
for you in
of course.
that manner.
Yeah, it maybe would have changed how I felt about it, but at least with the version I saw and the ending I saw, I just
Yeah.
felt like those scenes were very out of place. They just didn't really affect the movie at all. They maybe affected her character, but it's not like she even told the other people in her group about the dreams or anything like that. It was just kind of random and felt really out of place for what I felt was already a pretty good horror movie. That didn't need those dream sequences is what I'm saying. Like they didn't need them for it to be a good horror movie.
Yeah, interesting. It's funny you bring it up because until I rewatched this movie, I honestly forgot that they happened. So, I think you're probably right there, or you may be picking up on something that's, we've through repeat viewings kind of maybe lost the kind of edge on there or something like that. But yeah,
Yeah, I was just
makes
expecting
sense.
there to be some kind of payoff for him because there
Mhm.
were quite a few of them, and then there just wasn't, and just kind of bothered me. So it's not a huge detractor of the movie, but I would say that was like one thing I noticed going through it. Besides
Yeah, I
that, overall
mean,
pretty good. Yeah, go ahead.
I guess maybe you could argue that even in the American happy ending, she does hallucinate Juno's ghost next to her. So you can say maybe, that is her dream world kind of echoing or reaching out into the real world too. But um I see where you're coming from too, 100%.
Yes, yeah,
It's my kind of point.
Mhm.
But yeah.
yeah. And then there are just some kind of weird plot holes that I don't like. That I'm not. I don't know how to phrase this. It's just I don't expect this movie to be 100% clean as far as the plot goes, but like things like the fact that Beth got stabbed in the throat with a climbing axe, and then she's still somehow alive like an hour later at when Sarah finds her. I did not like just
That's
random
interesting.
like she would definitely have bled out, man.
Mhm.
Like there's no way, or the monsters would have eaten her, or something would have happened to Beth. There's no like I
It's
don't.
funny you bring that up because I found that death really affecting this time I watched it because it was the first time I was watching it, and I actually had the thought of like, oh my god, she's not bleeding out, she's drowning on her own blood, and that's what taking so long is. I feel like the it's not that the pickaxe hit an artery or anything like that. It's more just pierced her throat, and now it's like a tracheotomy almost kind of thing. And so
Okay.
I feel like for me that I found that death really, really interesting, or really, really affecting, I should say. But
Mhm.
I'm not just trying to shit on everything you're saying.
Well, I'm not saying it
Because I
wasn't.
think those are
Yeah.
a valid thing for you to, bring up.
Well, I don't feel like you're shitting on my points. You're fine. No, I just to me like even let's say that she was drowning in her own blood or whatever it was. Like I don't know. To me, just that wound seemed a lot more serious than to the point where
Sure.
she should not have been alive when Sarah found her. Essentially. But I agree with you that the death was meaningful. I mean, when Juno turns around and whips the axe, and then you just see that it was Beth. I was like, oh shit,
Mm.
That's
because
every time.
it was a surprising moment. Because I mean, on Juno's part, like, yeah, I just fought these scary ass beasts. I didn't know anybody else was around me. If I heard something behind me, I would also probably have the reaction of turning around and swinging.
Right,
Um,
and that's what makes it interesting because
Mhm.
at some point you're like, you almost can't really fault Juno for that.
I don't
You know what I
fault Juno
mean?
for
She's a
that.
shitty
Yeah.
person for sure. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? In terms of what she's done to Sarah and
Well, and
taking them to a cave and without their permission, right? All that BS.
Yeah.
But that
that's
exact
true.
instance, you can't really fault her for that. That's a genuine reaction.
Yeah.
Beth almost has to say something approaching her. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Ahead of
Yeah,
time.
she
before-
well,
should've.
yeah,
Yeah,
but it's
oh, yeah.
also it's the fact that she just leaves her there. That's
Yes,
it.
but
It
also,
doesn't
what did
explain
you?
any of that. For
But
sure.
to me, if I was in that situation, like, what was I supposed to do? Because I can't just stay there and like defend her. I can't. I don't really have much to help her.
But I think
Or
the thing that you take away from that is that Juno is only thinking for herself. That
True.
the
Yes.
that
Yes.
the thing
Yes.
is to do be say, oh my god, to be there for your friend as this person that you've known since childhood, or, implied anyways, slips away to the void. But not only are you ignoring that, and which can be justified in a survival situation, but the tragic part of it is now that Beth, who already had suspicions of her, who had these negative feelings for her because of the way that she left things with Sarah, now just has that confirmed in her final moments, and it truly believes that she's dying alone until Sarah does come find her later, I think. And that's kind of the thing, is that it progresses, it not only scares, but it progresses and complicates the relationships that are left in the film already, and that's smart filmmaking.
It does. No, it does. Yeah.
And it does not help Juno's case at all that when Sarah finally sees her at the end and she asks her, like, hey, did you see Beth die? And she just lies to her face and says, yeah, I saw her die.
Yeah.
And Beth has the trinket or whatever, the charm.
The necklace thing, Oh, and we lost Nathaniel. At least it wasn't Craig this time.
That's true.
That would have been bad.
You want filler?
Yeah.
I got filler.
Go for it, Phil.
So going along with our spooky kind of theme this month, my friends have a Snapchat group chat, and my old roommate Rob sent a Snapchat out to the group, and it was like under his porch, and it's looking out to the pool that he has in his backyard, and just on the other side of the fence of the closed pool, on like this dark, gloomy day, there's a single red balloon.
Ooh.
Yeah, bro.
The fuck.
So like
I would
group
move.
was like,
I would move.
the whole group like did like the Pennywise thing, and then everyone's like, "See you later, dude." So that was a pretty cool Snapchat to get.
Yeah. Speaking of funny thing on a single red balloon, there's actually a small, and I don't even know if cameo is the right word, in Far Cry 5, where if you travel to one of the farms, there's kind of like a lake in the back, and across the lake, you can't even access it, right? So that's a non-playable part of the game. But there is a red balloon when you pull out your binoculars.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, so it's just something funny that they can kind of allude to. And I think Far Cry 5 takes place in Maine, I think, or something like that.
Far Cry
Might be
5 is the
Montana.
one that's in Montana, I believe.
Yeah. But yeah, that's just kind of something funny I remember seeing, and I actually checked it out in the game. But yeah, but for your man, that's a fucking scary story for sure, dude.
All right, we're back. Are we safe? Sorry.
Yep.
Yeah, no, we're chilling.
Still don't know why that happens.
Me neither. We'll figure it out eventually.
Someday.
Would you like to continue your thoughts, Nathaniel? I'm pretty much I will say I'm pretty much out of like bulletins or anything like that. Or main points on the movie. I've said most of what I've wanted to say, but you guys are much better at watching and analyzing horror than I am. So please take the floor, Professor.
I would just say that I think this movie is really a great example of what horror can be, and what what thrives in horror, because I think it's an unusual story, particularly for Hollywood, it being so female centric. I think it is that great example of kind of like what I was saying earlier, where you have one situation, and then by accident or by incompetence or not necessarily great motives, it gets worse, and then it just builds, and that tension builds, and that tension builds. I think Marshall does a great job with creating horror in what is essentially a very limited, he doesn't have a lot to play with there. There's not a ton of set dressing or things that he can do, but it's very effective. I love the way it's shot, or it's lit down in the caves, because you totally buy that they're 2 miles underground. There's no part of you that goes like, oh my god, they're just on a set or something like that. I think the way he photographs the monsters is really great. There's a lot of subtle stuff he does early that kind of tips you in that something's not quite right. You can see kind of the shadows of the crawlers in some shots when they're kind of up higher in the caves and that kind of thing. Yeah, there's one where they first bring out the flares, and it's kind of that first big cavern that they get into.
Uh-huh.
And like the bottom left hand corner of the screen or something, you can see one of the crawlers kind of retract away from the light and move out of
Ooh.
there and stuff. So it's just really kind of subtle stuff that he does throughout it.
That might be a nice thing for a rewatch or something, because that's
Yeah,
definitely something I didn't
exactly.
notice.
Exactly. And I think just the again, we talked a little bit about it last week with Hereditary too, where it's kind of like there's a lot of little stuff that they do in terms of like the setting or things that would just kind of naturally isolate people. So and this it's again that they're 6 women, but they're all also 6 women from different countries for the most part too. There's a lot
they all
of
have different accents. And
there's a lot
everything.
of
It's
like different
interesting.
accents and stuff, and so there is this kind of like just small inability just to communicate and little stuff that doesn't that we deal with in daily life, but that we don't necessarily think about in horror all the time. It's not just a white family in a house somewhere being scared by
Right.
something going bump in the night, and the fact that he does just get it's such a simple story, but it's like Jaws in that it just gets into those deep primordial DNA fears that we don't like things that we can't see, and we don't like things that are really, really tight and small. But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts, and I'll jump in with some other stuff later too. Oh, my favorite thing about this movie is that its working title was Six Chicks with Picks, which is also kind of
That's
what
funny.
it ends up being.
I did not know that.
So yeah.
Yeah, but I'm with you, man. I mean, this is being a big horror guy. This is one of those films, like you said, that is widely known as one of the better films of the early 2000s, right? I do think you get this. You do get your Session 9, right? I do think you get some of those films. But yeah, I think that the big taking away point for this one is obviously it's all women. That was rare to come across at a time like that. And I do think the there is a little bit more thought provokingness, if that's a word, right, to it
Mhm.
than you originally think, right? It's not just, as I said earlier, like people versus cave versus monsters, right? There are kind of situations the friends are in. Juno sleeping with her friend's husband. There being resentment between Juno and Beth and things of the nature. And you're watching all of those problems kind of lay out as they're being fucked, right? Like in a really bad situation. So it kind of goes a long way. But yeah, man, this movie it's so it's so tense. Like I said, I was watching it and I was like sitting up straight, and you know what I mean. Your arms are so tight, and it's like, dude, it just gets to you. And all that was before you even see a crawler on screen.
Yeah.
Like that's just from the environment. Like the environment is that scary. The environment is that in depth and surround you, where it almost raises the question like, well, fuck, would you rather die to a crawler or to the cave?
Hmm.
And I think what seems to be a worse death is probably to the cave. Luckily, none of them really died to the cave, but I think that seems to be a worse way to go out, to being trapped in one of those holes opposed to being eaten alive. But yeah, that's just kind of my takeaway, man. But yeah, I love this movie. Like I said, haven't seen it in some time, and then I rewatched it and I remembered why I like it for sure.
Were we talking about what we would do if you were down there and saw it?
Yeah, right. So I was like, this film basically raises the question. And for the listeners, Nathaniel stepped away for a minute. But yeah, so it basically raises the question of, would you rather die to the cave, right, in the environment, or would you rather die to the crawlers? And what's kind of your guys' opinion on that?
Gotcha. I just know that if I was down in that cave and I turned and one of those things was down there, I think I would just void everything in either direction. Just
Yeah.
instantaneous, like expulsion of whatever is in my system at that moment. I would be
I
so scared.
I don't think this question applies to me because I would not be caught dead and that far into the cave.
Right.
My cave expedition, when she says there's only one way out of this cavern, it's through this small ass tunnel. I would just say, nope, I'm going back up.
Right,
See you guys
right.
later.
That's
There's
real
no
easy,
chance
yeah.
you could get me into that tunnel with a gun to my head is the only way. I swear, dude. I hate shit like that. And when they go into the one where they're all on fours, are you kidding me? You're crawling through this tunnel in a cave and you don't know where it's going. Like,
And the
why?
crazy thing is, dude, I think that's actually the first passage they go through to even
It
like get
is.
in the cave, right? It's
Yeah.
when they almost
Mhm.
get stuck, and that's when you're set up like
It's the
okay,
second
this-
one. It's the second
When she-
one.
when
'Cause
she
they go
goes-
through that. They go through a smaller tunnel that they can kind of crouch through, and then they go through a second one that they
Where
have to
they're
go
crawling.
prone through. Yeah,
Yeah.
they go. They
Fuck
crawl
the
through.
rope
Call of
bag.
Duty prone.
Yeah,
Right?
fuck the rope bag. Let's go. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I would not be caught dead in that cave.
Yeah, that would it would
I love
suck.
too whenever America is like photographed by someone who is not American, because you just end up in these really weird like locations in areas where you're like, what state is this? Are you in Missouri? Are you in Arkansas? Like, it's just this random forest basically. But yeah, it's I think this was just a fun movie for me. I think I enjoy this film, and the kind of mobility that it inspires. I just remember Tyler and I sitting next to each other, and that because that scene that we're all talking about where they're trapped in that cave feels like it comes out of nowhere. Like it
Dude,
just
it comes-
picks
it
up.
hits like a fucking truck.
Yeah,
Dude.
it picks up so quick. Like it's like Deliverance in that way. And then you're just there, and then you're just like, oh my god. And both of us just felt all the muscles in our
Yeah.
body just tightening up and just
Mhm.
going, oh
Yeah.
boy. And that's when I texted Blake, because I was just like, I can't wait for Adam to experience this. Just
Yeah.
like
Like I
fresh
said,
and
Really,
bright-eyed.
That
really
text
quick,
made
Ty.
me, turn the movie on. I'm sorry, go ahead, man. Didn't mean to cut you.
I was gonna say, Ty never answered his cave or creeper question.
Oh, I don't know, man. I'd probably rather
I-
die fighting.
I take
I
a
don't.
crawl.
I don't. Yeah, I
every
don't think
day.
I could. I can't sit there and say that I'd rather be killed by a collapsed tunnel or
Just
something like
wither
that.
away.
Yeah, I'd rather go out fighting.
All right, what were you gonna say, Blake?
I might have lost my train of thought on this. But
My
yeah, I think no worries, man. To what Nathaniel was saying, yeah, the stakes just, as you said, the situation keeps getting worse and worse. Where yeah, it hits like a truck from where they're going prone, and then they get out of that, and they're like, okay, well, our entrance is gone, right? There has to be another way out, and that's when it all falls out that this isn't even the cave system they originally wanted to go
Right.
to. Their flight plan, obviously, for the local forest department. I'm not really an outdoorsman at all. I'm sure Tyler can correct me on that, but whoever they were supposed to contact for something like that cannot come to that location, as they're not at the right location. So all
Right.
those stakes just get worse and worse. And then that's when I think Sarah sees something off in the background, right? And then it's just like tenfold, like boom, 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 boom. Yeah, it's good. It's
about that-
really intense.
How about that scene when they're trying to cross that gorge and she's just trying to have to like free solo across it? and
Oh,
stuff?
There's
yeah.
two scenes like that.
Yeah,
Remember
they
the
set it up
second-
so well.
Yeah. And I think the first one they all make it across, right?
Yeah.
I think it's the
Yeah,
second
'cause
one that
The second one is when she's hanging there, and then the creeper like jumps on her and rips her
Yeah.
throat out.
Yeah.
That was a great kill. Yeah, that was cool.
Well, I love it because they have the one sister go across, and you get to see her. Like, I love the ingenuity that they have, like all the different tools and shit that they can do at any
Mhm.
time. But she does it across, and then Juno tries to, and this is where this film is really great, in that you learn all the characterization you need through actions and through
Yep.
actual visual storytelling. So Juno immediately is like, well, she tries to basically clean up after herself or take them down as she
Yeah.
goes.
Yeah, she
and-
said
and
"We need all
fails.
our materials or something.
Right.
Like that,
Yeah.
is her quote.
But it's also, you can just tell it's an ego play for her as
For
well
sure.
and stuff too. And that's I think is just really smart. I think
Which just goes to show that your guys' point earlier that Juno's just there for herself. I mean, that's like really the beginning of it all.
yeah, exactly. I think just the group dynamic in this film is what makes it so compelling to me in a lot of ways as well.
Mhm.
They do
Yeah.
feel like fleshed out full characters.
I would definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
I also want to say I think Holly is her name.
The Irish one.
Yeah, was very glad when she died.
Holly, which one?
She's the one that
did
keeps
he-
running ahead.
She's the one who breaks her leg.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think she's
Yeah.
the first person to quote unquote die. right?
yeah, and she is the first person to die. She gets her throat ripped
Yeah.
out, and I was very happy when it happened because she
Oh
was
my
getting on my
God.
nerves.
Her yell when she gets her throat ripped out. If you rewatch that, you can hear her like gargle on the blood. of getting
Ooh.
her throat ripped out. It's such a nasty yell, dude.
Yeah.
That's something you should probably try to catch that scene on YouTube. It's gross, dude. And then I didn't really catch it on my first watch.
She was just getting my
Her
nerves.
leg breaking scene is fucking.
That was brutal.
Bro.
That
Yeah.
was brutal.
Yeah, and that's what I like. I think about this. I think a lot of really good horror movies do this too. Is that they let the circumstances be scary in and of themselves, which I
Mhm.
think is something that another film we're going to talk about later today does not do particularly well. But I think Marshall does a great job of just recognizing how scary and how dangerous being underground in the caves it really is, just in and
Yeah,
of itself.
the tension and the fear is just so natural, and
Mhm.
they just did an incredible job with like the shots that they were able to do, like in the big gap scene that you guys were talking about, where they have to kind of go across. They have like a big swinging kind of up shot to kind of tell you how deep it is and make you feel like you're kind of there. And then I think I have like two favorite shots in this. One is in the second tunnel where they're prone. The camera is like basically being drug in front of whoever's going through the tunnel.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
dude, it just like the way it's got like a little bit of like a fisheye on it, and it's just
Mhm.
it makes you feel like you're fucking in there. And I think that's just like another great shot to really make you feel tense. Like I feel like I was literally like in there hugging myself trying to crawl through this thing, and like that's why my body was so tense. And I think that it's just a really smart way to make the watcher feel that way. And then another part that I think they did really well, and it's kind of like in my mind, if the original cover art for this with the skull wasn't this, it should be this shot. But it's after she finds Beth, I think, and she is finally like, well, now I know everything, and now I'm kind of pissed off, and she kind of has this new purpose, and she ends up going like she's walking, and it's one of those side shots, and she's descending. But like everything's red. It's just kind of like her black silhouette, and it's really cool because it shows like her anger. She's going further down. Everything's like just going to shit, and she's walking with a purpose, and it's awesome, and I love it. And I think that's probably one of my other favorite shots in this.
Yeah, Sarah's character arc is awesome to see, from going from like a non-confident woman, right? Or obviously she's devastated seeing her husband and losing her child, right? To being like a full blown badass, like final girl, you know what I mean?
Which, can we talk
Um,
about the death scene in the beginning of the movie where they just get in the car crash and those fucking pipes just smash into
Bro.
his face? Bro,
even
I
that
was not
kinda sneaks up
expecting
on you though.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh my
exactly,
god.
dude.
I
Yeah.
was not expecting that. Was like in the first like 2 minutes of the movie.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, and then she has a dream sequence and they go back to the pipe. I was like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Come on.
I think another cool point to her like psyche is she's obviously taking pills when they're still at the cabin, and then she obviously they make it seem like she forgets them there. So there's that, the fact that she's not taking them, if that what that shot is intending. But then she hears her daughters laugh in the caves consistently.
Yeah.
So it really just kind of goes again like how kind of that experience would, one, fuck anybody up, but two, just how she's still kind of dealing with this, because I think this is only like a year after
Yeah, he said that.
everything's happened, which is just a wild thing to agree to a year after your husband and daughter die in a tragic car accident.
Yeah, I'm personally probably not signing up for that. But
Yeah.
Sarah's
The character decisions in this movie are questionable.
Now, one thing that kind of comes to my attention, and I can't help, maybe it's because I kind of slandered found footage earlier on pod, right? 'Cause I can't help but think if this movie was made in 2015, it would 100% be a found footage movie.
Well,
And I think it
there's
would
some
just
of
be
that.
different.
There's some of that in there because there is, because I
They do
think
have
the
the
first time
camera.
you see the monster is actually on that little camera that they have, that little
Mhm.
DV camera that they have,
Little
that's
handy cam.
got night
Mhm.
vision. Yeah.
And I think that fits well. I like
Yeah,
that.
I think this movie definitely has that same. It's shot on the same way. 28 Days Later is that little
Mhm.
DV video
Mhm.
version of it, and it's great because because you're so limited in that, you're limited to just basically close-ups and in-person shots, which makes you identify with the characters and feel closer to them and feel that sense of claustrophobia too. So I think it's really quite smart that he brings in the little bit of found footage a lot of time too, because it just is that little bit more connection that you have with the characters as well. I think you're right, Blake. I think had it come out that after post Paranormal Activity, this whole movie would have been handheld for sure.
Yeah. And I don't know if that would have made the movie any worse, right? I mean, I can't go into depth that far, but that's just kind of something that did stick out to me. But I do like how the times where they are using found footage, right? It's for usage. It's like, hey, this
It's
is
appropriate use of it, for
right?
sure.
It's because this is because the character cannot see, right? So they have to pick up a found footage camera.
Which have you guys ever been? Have you ever been to like a Carlsbad Caverns or like those big things out here or anything like that? I went one time over summer on like a road trip or something like that, and when you get down there and they turn off the lights, it is like it's a darkness unlike you've ever experienced, where there is just no light whatsoever. And then the lady that we took the tour with, like she put it down there and then she just held up just a single candle, and like the amount of just the way that changes the environment around you is just mind-boggling too.
Yeah.
It's very, very surreal and strange just how quiet it is too. But yeah, should we get the viewers back or the
I think we've talked a good amount about this. I'm satisfied, unless anybody has any last closing thoughts they'd like to get to.
No, I think one of the just the biggest thing too is like they actually do a really good job at showing like the evolution of these crawlers.
They do, yeah.
They're blind and they can really only do things off like smell and hearing. The only thing that kills me is I feel like when they were getting lights shined in their face, that they would be a little bit more sensitive to that.
Yeah, I would agree.
I think they're just straight up blind though.
I was gonna say unless they're just completely blind. But yeah, I guess that's pretty kind of like my only gripe. Other than that, I think I got everything. Oh, do you leave your friend there? Do you kill your friend?
Are you talking about Sarah and Juno? Or are you talking about Juno and Beth?
No, Sarah and Juno. Like at the end, are you putting that pickaxe to your homeboy's leg?
Oh man,
probably not.
I mean,
depends. Depends what that person did to me.
They were sleeping with your significant other. I think that's inappropriate.
Yeah,
I'm talking like full blown scenario. Same exact.
Yeah, I think that's the dagger. I think if she had not had an affair with Sarah's husband, I don't think she takes that route.
I think if it was just the Beth thing, and yeah, I would agree. I think I could. I don't know. I could see myself going either way because at the same time, I don't know where this exit of the cave is. Like, I don't know how far ahead. And my thought when she first did that was strength in numbers. Like, why are you killing the only other survivor? Like, you guys could survive together until you get out. But I mean, yeah, if I was in that situation, I probably wouldn't have just for that reason. But it's a movie, so.
Yeah. What about in terms of Sarah then going on to kill Beth, right? As she kind of pleads, like, put me on my misery. Do you think that's a more difficult decision opposed to Sarah hitting Juno in the leg and letting her kind of fight for her survival, or actually putting your friend out of their misery that another friend has put them into?
That's tough, man.
Yeah.
Just because it was so brutal how she did it too with the rock. Sheesh. Yeah, I mean, if they asked me to, I guess I would try to have to, but
yeah,
that's so tough.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I mean, if it was something quick, like if I had a gun and they asked me to shoot them, I'd be like, okay, I could do that. But like the fact that if I had to take a rock and
beat you in the face with a rock,
beat you in the face, yeah, that'd be tough. That would be real tough.
How about the blood pit?
Ooh, the blood pit. Yeah, that was kind of
blood pit's a famous
she rises like it's almost like Carrie.
Yeah, I feel like
in the blood and she's
that's the other famous shot in this movie is just rising out of that.
All right, I'm done. I'm just kind of poking around here.
Well, I think that means we are ready for the entropy list. The entropy list. So welcome back, listeners. If you skipped over spoilers, we are back and ready to rank this on our entropy list. For those of you who don't know, the entropy list is Back Row Banter's complete list of every movie we have reviewed so far, regardless of genre, regardless of I don't know, all that stuff. It's just every single movie, together, one happy list. If you want to take a look at the entropy list, it is currently 13 movies long, soon to be 14. You can find a link to it in the description. It is currently on my Letterboxd. So go ahead and give that a little bit of a look-see if you're interested. Let's go, Tyler. Where are you putting this, man?
Ooh, I don't know. Let me.
This is a toughie.
This is a tough
This is a
one.
toughie.
Popcorn Nathaniel.
Okay.
I'm thinking it's yeah. I mean, the thing is that this list is by no means. A lot of these are really close to each other in quality, and then there's a lot of these and then the drop off at a certain point is just way different.
Yeah.
So I think I think
drop-off is Project Power. I'm looking at the list right now.
Well,
I think
yeah.
it's Blind Spotting.
Yeah,
I
blind
think
spotting.
Blind
For me,
Spotting
I think.
is
Really?
I
Blind
think
Spotting.
I think for me, I'd probably have this movie, or I think a good spot for this movie on the list, and thinking of where this list will grow eventually, I think is between Blind Spotting and King of Staten Island. With Provezio, again, for me, it would be in different places, but I think that would be a good spot for the viewers or for listeners. I always say viewers. We got to get viewers eventually. For the listeners, that might be a spot where I would place it right now.
Gotcha.
All right. Why don't you popcorn someone?
How about Blake?
I'll follow up after you, man. I'm on here looking at the entropy list on Adam's Letterboxd, excuse me. I think I'm gonna fall. I think I'm gonna fall after Insidious.
Okay.
So that would put it at 8. I do like Insidious and Green Room better than this. This is actually very comparable to Green Room in my opinion, just in terms of
Yeah.
kind of the pacing, right, of the film and how
They're
tense it makes you.
Yeah, they're similar in that it's something innocuous happens and then it just gets worse and worse, and they build in kind of very similar ways.
Right, in that entire inept protagonist thing, where these people don't really know what they're doing. I do think the Groom does that a little better, and I think just situation is it's just more realistic, and that's
For
why it's
sure.
better, right? It's not a monster. It's neo Nazis. So
The
yeah,
real monsters.
right. The real monsters, right? Not crawlers. Yeah, I'm good at 8 after Insidious. I think I'd rather watch Insidious than the Groom over this. Tenet's just a crazy fucking long film. We've talked about that a handful of times. So yeah, that's where I'll sit it. I'll go Adam, and we'll let Todd clean it up.
I want to put. I agree with you 100%. This does not get past Green Room for me. Green Room is much tighter. I think something that I enjoy or I like or prefer in movies, I would say, is good character decision making, and Green Room does that 100%. Like every decision in the Green Room, I feel like is a logical decision that the character makes. The Descent is not that. Some decisions I would agree with. Some I think are completely idiotic and stupid, and that's just kind of some of the horror movie tropes that you'll get into. But I definitely don't think it gets past Green Room for me. I think I gotta put this in the same spot you did, Blake, at number 8, right below Insidious.
Not bad, man.
I think that's where I'm kind of feeling it out at. I don't know, maybe below Tenet. Sheesh, man. And it's also below. Oof, I don't know. Now that I'm thinking about it, I might. You know what? I'm gonna put it after Blind Spotting. I'm changing my mind. I'm sorry.
So that's where I had it.
Yeah, I'm putting it after Blind Spotting. I think it's right there. I think it's close. I loved Blind Spotting. You guys know how much I like that movie. And even Tenet, I think there are good enough things about Tenet that I really, really like. And I agree with Nathaniel. I think how this list is shaping up. I think The Descent where this will end up long term is right below Blind Spotting. I think that's a good spot for it. Popcorn tie.
I think I'm gonna be with Blake on this one. I think this is after Insidious
Damn.
at 8. Yeah,
Damn.
I think I would watch this over Tenet and anything below.
So if we're going off IMDb then for the tiebreaker.
Well, or we could just compromise and say put it at number 9.
okay.
What's 9? Let me pull the list back up.
It would be
9's
below
after
Tenet.
Blind Spotting, right?
It would be below Tenet, above Blind Spotting.
Oh.
That would be the compromise between the two of us. The two groups here, the two parties. But I can look up the
Well,
I'm
it's gonna be
looking at
higher
that.
than Tenet.
It's actually Tenet is 7.8 on user scores. Descent is 7.2. And Descent actually has more ratings. 198,000 versus 130,000 from Tenet.
Yeah, like you said, man, this is one of those movies that has a huge cult following.
It is, yeah. I feel like it is.
It's almost weird.
It was very appreciated for like 3 years, maybe, where like everyone was like, "This is the best movie or best horror movie of the thousands." And then I think it just like people just kind of forgot about it a little bit, you know. I think it maybe got swept up under like because I think Paranormal Activity came out like the year afterwards, and that really changed everything.
2007.
Yeah.
Yeah, fellas.
So where do we want to put this? You want to keep it at 10, or do we want to compromise on 9?
I think 9's. I'm okay with 9. I think you're right, Aish. I think this and Blind Spotting for me are the two that are just right next to each other. They're so close.
Yeah.
They're almost interchangeable for me.
I would say their quality for their genre are like dead on. Because obviously it's gonna be preference over a movie like Blind Spotting or a horror movie. But I think for what each of them are, they're both very, very good for their respective genres. So I'm comfortable putting them together like that.
Okay.
Yeah, I can live with that. I've seen better, right? Horror movies. I've seen worse. Same with Blind Spotting. I mean, I've seen better stuff to do with racial tension and things of that nature. And I've also seen a handful of movies that are way worse than it. So I'm good with 9, man.
Cool. Ty, you cool with 9?
You're
Here. All right. Number 9 it is. Officially on the Entropy list. I'll give you our top 10 here. It's going to be number 1, Arrival, 2, Pan's Labyrinth, 3, Hereditary, 4 is Prisoners, 5, Inception, 6, Green Room, 7, Insidious, 8 is Tenet, number 9 is now The Descent, and number 10, capping it all off, is Blind Spotting. You have it.
That's a solid top 10.
Have it. That is a solid top 10. I'm content with that. I'm glad some of the other movies that are outside the top 10 are not in the top 10.
Plus, it's good to have some more ladies on there. We got some dude fests in there a bit too.
Yeah, get that representation up.
Our number 1 spot has a female lead.
I know. I'm just saying, it's always good to have more ladies.
Very, very true.
I'll bet you this raises the amount of like if you went actors for actresses in that lineup.
The ratio. This definitely evens out the ratio.
Yeah, way more.
Yeah.
All
right.
We don't have a 5-star review this week. However, we do have a comment on our YouTube video, actually. So I thought I might read that out for us. And
go ahead, please.
Let her rip, tater chip.
Some sort of questions that may breed some conversation here. So this is from Yukako Koala. She's my friend Joe's wife, and who I married them a couple weeks ago. So they are part of Back Row Banter lore.
Of course,
but
they are canon.
They're
canon, yeah.
Yeah, this is 2 weeks ago. This is on our horror starter kit episode. So it says, OMG, the worst horror movie of my life that haunted me for years to this day is The Ring, the Japanese version. Yuka is Japanese, so that makes sense. She says, I'm curious how you guys like/dislike Asian horror movies. I remember that my German friends were cracking up when we were watching The Ring. Apparently, that lady with long black hair and white clothes was just hilarious for them. Similarly, a lot of Western horror movies don't usually freak me out. Right. And then she says, also, have you guys watched Eraserhead? My friend loves it, but that movie was horrific in a particular way. So I did actually watch Eraserhead for the first time probably a month or so ago.
I think you mentioned on pod.
Yeah, maybe 2. I did mention on pod. It is horrifying in its own way. It's a very, very strange movie. And there's a lot of stuff I think in there that is tinged with elements of horror, but it doesn't scare that movie doesn't scare me the way a Descent does, or a Strangers, or a Videodrome does. It's just one of those things. The surreal nature of it, I think, takes away from the horror at a certain point. But to other people, it's even more horrifying. So that's the nice thing about horror, is it is subjective. But
Yeah,
what about
for
you
sure.
guys? Blake, I would assume you have kind of the most association with J horror or Asian horror.
Yeah,
Tyler, you might as well.
yeah, and to answer your question, I have not seen Eraserhead though, so I can't really speak to that. In terms of her comment on kind of the J horror and things of that nature, I've seen most of those. Um, and yeah, I don't know why a lot of them have not stuck with me. Right, I'm sure a lot of it could be a cultural difference.
Mhm.
Right, now that we're openly kind of speaking about that, I'm sure that could be one of the better reasons. I do like The Ring though, the 2004 one or 2002, whichever one it is.
Yeah, I feel like
Uh,
that's the other one that like gets mentioned alongside The Descent. It's either kind of like The Ring or
mhm.
The Descent in terms of like scariest movies from the
Right,
thousands
for
that were
sure.
like
But
really well done too.
yeah, I'm with you on that. But I think that's the one that really only sticks with me. Like I know we kind of went through that list and we were kind of cracking jokes of the worst like sequels, right? And a lot of them were those J
Yeah.
horror sequels. And those are movies I have saw and seen, I should say. And I think those definitely skew my data or skew my ideal thought process on J horror.
Yeah, for sure.
um, so yeah, I don't know. That's probably something I should dig into deeper, right, to figure
Yeah,
something out.
I think a lot of times I certainly know the remakes better than the originals for sure,
Mhm.
and I think a lot of those were kind of viewed as just like a cheap way to make a quick buck. So not sure that the
Mhm.
remakes that I'm familiar with always got kind of the same treatment that they did in when they originally came out. I know one of those is excuse me, The Ring, which we were talking about
Mhm.
earlier. I think the American remake is kind of famous for it actually beating the original, but I'm sure it's also scary. I have the book that
Gotcha.
the movie's based off of, but I never read it. As for more J horror, Asian horror in general, I think that was kind of coming out in a time when I was still really scared of horror, so I didn't really go too
Mhm.
much into it.
Early
But I
early
have seen,
2000s.
yeah, I have seen kind of like some of the classics. I've seen Old Boy, which is a Korean movie, which is
Mhm.
insane for sure. Um,
Hey, have you
Audition as
seen,
well. I've
I
seen.
actually started a film maybe a week ago, and I didn't finish it. I ended up falling
Mhm.
asleep on it, but it's actually a J horror film. I started watching it on Tubi, um, and it's called Audition. So it's from
Yeah,
1999, and I had to watch it in
Audition's
subtitles.
famous, man.
Yes, and
Yeah,
so I found the kind of the lore about it, and it's like a super cult classic, and I was like, "You know
yep.
what? I'm gonna try to watch it." But I turned it on way too late, you know what I mean? It was kind of
Mhm.
like 11:30, and it's a very long movie, and I had to have subtitles on and everything. But I got up maybe 40 minutes in, and I was super interested.
Yeah, it's
Um,
that's a famous one that just kind of
okay.
like really pushed the envelope, really scared a lot of people when it first
Yeah.
came out, that it goes to those dark places, and
Mhm.
it doesn't shy away. The kind of summary for that one is that a gentleman loses his wife and is very depressed, and so his buddy basically sets up all of these auditions under the guise that he's looking for an actress, but they're actually auditioning to be this guy's wife, and he picks a girl who may or may not have some secrets to hide. But it's definitely a good one for you out there. But
Yeah, and I think that'll probably be the one to turn me around on J-horror.
mhm.
Because yeah, that's one I've been meaning to get to, and I finally set aside some time, and I gotta go ahead and bang through it. But yeah, that's kind of
What
my
sorry. Are you done?
no. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
yeah, I'm done.
Oh, okay. What about what are we considering Parasite? Because Parasite's like one of the bigger ones that was still kind of
Oh,
like
yeah. That
Asian
didn't even come to my mind, man.
I would say
horror,
it's more
suspense,
thriller.
thriller.
Yeah, more thriller suspense more than
Okay.
horror
And
For
for
then
me
me,
at
it's
least.
I guess the only other one that comes to mind for me that was really big recently, at least amongst my friends, was Train to Busan zombie
which I
movie.
have not
Oh, the
seen.
zombie one. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know what
Yeah.
you're talking about.
So I guess that was the
That's
other one
pretty
that really
good.
comes to mind.
Yeah, and Bong Joon-ho kind of cut his teeth in horror for sure. His other movie called The Host is pretty famous. as well. And I know there's another movie called The Wailing, which is I believe is also a Korean movie, which is supposed to be pretty good as well. So there's definitely out there. I feel like J horror and Asian horror in general really came to the forefront in kind of the early thousands when Americans were pretty sick of the typical home invasion or like kind of family sitting in a suburb ghost story, and it was just something new and different. And so for some of us, it's and again, horror is very very subjective. But to kind of bring it back to Yuka's point, I think it is very very cultural, and it depends on kind of how open you are to other modes of storytelling and other styles of storytelling, and whether or not you enjoy them or engage with them, for sure. But let's wrap this one up, guys, and get on out of here. We got more episodes to do tonight. In particular,
we have one more
bit of
episode.
sizzle there.
Yeah, so we are planning on recording our 20th episode, guys. 20. Yeah.
Hey.
Oh, hey.
It's going to be a compare and contrast of The Purge and The Strangers, kind of reviewing both of them. Are we going to put those on the Entropy list? I think we should.
Why not? Yeah.
I mean, we're kind of reviewing both of them. So,
Yeah, I'm with
all
you.
right. Well, yes, we're going to be doing compare and contrast of The Purge and The Strangers for episode number 20. It should be live either when you're watching this or very soon after. But yeah, go ahead and check that out. Our review for next week is going to be The Shining, a little bit of classic horror coming in here. And this is, believe it or not, my first viewing, complete viewing. I've seen bits and pieces, but I have not seen it all the way through. So yeah, that'll be exciting.
Is that streaming anywhere by chance?
I believe it is. I believe it is. Yeah, somewhere. Held up. I can find that out for you.
If not, we'll find a way to get it to you, Blake. I own a couple different copies, so.
Gotcha. I think you seemed like the guy.
It is on. Oh, you know what? You might have to stream, or you might have to rent it, or something. It says it's on Sling right now. I guess I don't know.
We'll figure
I
it
thought
out.
it was. I thought it was somewhere, but maybe not.
It was definitely on HBO Max. I'd probably say in the past month or so.
I think it was. Yeah, I think it might have been. Well, regardless, that's going to be what we're reviewing for next week. So go ahead and give that a watch if you have not. I'm assuming a lot of people have. Yeah. So please share the podcast. We'd love to grow. Don't you want to grow, Nathaniel?
We do love to grow. Who could they share it with this week? Maybe
A creeper, a crawler,
a crawler,
a fellow
stranger.
a stranger.
Give
Maybe
it to your adrenaline junkie friends. So if for any reason they go skydiving.
If you find yourself in a cave at any point, maybe put it on for them and say, "Hey guys, just relax. All right, let's listen to some Back Row Banter. They're gonna get us out of this. They're gonna get us through. All right."
If you're stuck somewhere and you need someone to calm you down so that you can get moving again, maybe underneath a table or like their hands trapped in the bottom of their cookie jar or something like that. They need to hear us to calm down or something. That might be good.
Maybe they're stuck in it. Maybe a cave has like started to fall on them as they're crawling through a very small tunnel.
Could be that.
Yeah,
maybe
somebody
knocks
on your door.
Spores from a mushroom got on you, and now you're evolving into some rampaging monster.
Yeah, it could be something like that.
Protomorph, actually, I think that's what they're called in that alien. Are protomorphs.
But yeah, so please do like, subscribe, share, whatever you
do
can.
all that fun stuff. You can find us live every Tuesday usually. Hopefully this goes up tomorrow. I should be able to get up tomorrow. That's when you can expect to find us. If you want to find us on Twitter, we're at Banter Row. Our Instagram is at Back Row Banter Pod. Our YouTube is just Back Row Banter, short and sweet like that. Go ahead and sub to us there. And then if you'd like to contact us for any questions, comments, concerns, grievances, movie reviews, or movie suggestions, please do so at backrowbanterpod@gmail.com. Blake, where can the people find you at, man?
Letterboxd, my man. Go ahead and find me on there, BlakeHolder. I actually gave my review last week on Hereditary, as
there we go.
In the past month that I would eventually get to one. We did Hereditary, one of my all-time favorites. So I released a few thoughts on that. Obviously, most of the thoughts are on podcast recorded, so there wasn't really a need to go into depth. But kind of shared my 2 cents on that. So yeah, that's where you can reach me at. We'll go popcorn. We'll go Adam. Go back to Adam this time.
Ooh. All right. Well, you can find me on Twitter. I'm at amschwartzy. That's the same thing for my Letterboxd. And you can find me on Twitch. It's twitch.tv/h. It's AYYSH. I haven't been streaming a lot because I've been very busy, but I want to stream some Star Wars Squadrons because that's been a really fun play. And then once the new COD comes out, I'll be streaming a lot more. So check me out there. Popcorn Nathaniel.
Hello, everyone. You can find me on Twitter and Letterboxd at nsgingrich or on Instagram at NathanielG92. If you'd like and you are interested, you can also find the Sandpiper tapes on both of those platforms. Instagram is the Sandpiper tapes and Twitter is at Sandpiper tapes. Both really fun places to come hang out. Please do join, follow, like, subscribe, all of that good stuff.
Tyler, last but not least, Popcorn Ty.
Hey, it's me, Tyler.
Hey.
I don't stream as much as I'd like to, but I will get back around to it sooner or later, hopefully. That's twitch.tv /El Trabajo, ELTRABAJO 87. And then Letterboxd, Twitter, and Instagram are just Tyler Vidalis, VIDALES.
Fantastic. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Our review of The Descent has concluded. What a great descent it was. We will catch you guys next week for The Shining. We'll BRB.
Be excellent to each other, and we'll BRB.
Thanks for listening. Spread the word. Tell somebody you love them. BRB.
Yeah, final thoughts on here. LeBron's got his 4th ring. RP Kobe Bryant. Lakers are world champs. BRB.
America. Ready for another lesson.
Yeah, tell your roommate, get that blanket down to his toes. He's gonna need it down there. His toesy woesies are hanging out. The monsters are gonna grab him.
No, Nathan wants you to put the blanket by your toes. He
Nathan,
says,
who the fuck's Nathan?
Nathaniel, I'm sorry. He said Nathaniel said your toesy woesies are exposed for the monsters. They're coming to get you. He said it's too short.
Get a bigger blanket.
He has one.
The question is
He's laying on it. Do you see the blue blanket?
It's the same color as the couch.
He said he didn't want to use mine because the blue one's mine.
That's the real question.
What'd you say?
I said, what monsters can't intrude that blanket? That's the real question. Whether it's
blankets are +5 armor, so only monsters.
I think blankets are penetrable.
Level 6 and above can penetrate it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
What are the descent monsters? What level are they? The crawlers.
At least a level 7.
I don't know, man. They were taking them out like fairly easily.
Yeah, but they were using more than blankets.
Yeah, I don't like.
Imagine playing that whole movie, but their weapons are only blankets.
Everyone knows a blanket is +5 armor. A teddy bear is +30. I mean, that's automatic monster killer.
Craig and Jarek are +100.
Dream catchers +35 probably if you got one of those in there. Some sage.